All right, our lightning round. We pretty much only hear about the budding of big egos when it comes to female anchor people, like Diane Sawyer versus Barbara Walters. But there's a big male feud brewing at ABC that's finally getting some attention. It's David Muir versus George Stephanopoulos. Emily Rooney has more.
All the major television networks have shared the same tradition over the decades. Whoever sits in the evening news chair is de facto the big cheese.
ABC's Peter Jennings is at the anchor desk uptown here in New York and is now in position.
When Diane Sawyer took the anchor seat once held by Jennings, she did the breaking news.
And we're interrupting your regular programming.
But something changed back in 2014 when David Muir took over from Diane Sawyer. Everyone was all smiles when it was announced that George Stephanopoulos, already anchor of both GMA and This Week, would be chief anchor, and as such, entitled to sit in the big chair for breaking news.
And we are coming on the air right now because President Obama is about to speak from Martha's Vineyard.
But in the past year, the ABC Evening News with David Muir has swept to the top of the ratings heap. As part of his contract negotiation, Muir wanted breaking news rights and got it.
Now reporting, David Muir.
Problem is, apparently Stephanopoulos wasn't given the word right away, which might explain the departure of news president James Goldston. At any rate, it's refreshing to hear about a dogfight instead of a catfight.
So I will confess that I'm not the biggest television broadcast network nightly news watcher. That being said, I think it's funny from a distance to watch how absurd this sort of thing looks. I tend to get at times in the workplace caught up in, I worry too much about something seems symbolic. I didn't get what I wanted. Someone else got something I didn't. I'm going to try to remember this next time that happens, because from the outside, this back and forth, I think, looks ridiculous.
Yeah, this is sort of world's smallest violin territory to me. It actually reminds me of baseball players' contracts where the difference in practical terms between $10 gazillion and $11 gazillion doesn't really matter, but it's all about keeping score. And it seems to me that these are two men with terrific jobs who are trying to keep score.
Yeah, this feels almost quaint based on everything else we've talked about today. It's sort of funny to have this old school anchor war. This feels like sort of a bygone era. Although I did think it was really interesting when I was reading the article about this that David Muir still is the anchor of the most watched newscast in America. That's definitely not something, I worked on that show and I wasn't clear that was still the case. So I think that's interesting how much power these shows still have. I work with both men. I like them both, legitimately, not in the way that you sort of say people you've worked with are interesting. So they're actually good guys. I think they're both really talented. To me, the detail that really stood out is that Bob Iger flew across the country to, sort of talk Stephanopoulos away from leaving. And I was like, that's a pretty good ego boost, right? When you can get one of the most powerful men in America to fly to you to be like, please stay. So that's a nice thing, I think.
It's nice to feel wanted. Yeah, this is all about ego and relevance as an anchor in a very, very small way. I have been there before. I cover breaking news until 2. You're after 2. I'm in that chair till 2. Stay at home until we're done and it's your shift. I think it sounds to me like George Stephanopoulos just wasn't getting enough FaceTime, and he complained, and this happened, and it's egos. If I were him and I was offered a bigger, longer contract and more shows and breaking news until noon, I'd enjoy my life after noon, go home, and with a smile on my face, and when the breaking news did come up in the morning, I'd just do the best damn job I could.
Oh, and by the way, for the public, here's another secret. Anchors used to have fights over who would start reading the newscast that night, saying, or who would sign off. That really does happen, or it did happen. I'm not sure so much anymore. But look, this is more, it is kind of childish. But the bottom line is, in the network news business, one day you're popular, the next day you're without a contract. And so you try to hang on to as much power as you can. You try to get the biggest titles as possible, because what that means is that you will not only make it through the contract you're in, but you'll get another contract and perhaps one behind it. And so it does seem like small potatoes to us when we on the outside want them to focus on the news, but it is about survival in the industry.